NRV Indivisible vehemently condemns the recent despicable act of racist intimidation and harassment that occurred in our community. Dr. Biko Agozino, who recently ran for delegate in the 42nd District, and his family were targeted at their home by a group of 8 white young men riding in 4 different trucks. The young white men parked in front of Dr. Agozino's home and unleashed a torrent of racial slurs, including the N-word, and threw ice bricks onto the property, blocking his driveway. This hateful assault was accompanied by the blaring of music, specifically Drake's Energy, in a calculated effort to terrorize and intimidate Biko and his family. The incident has been reported to the Christiansburg Police Department, and they are looking into the incident further, according to Dr. Agozino. This incident is not merely a case of disorderly conduct. It is a hate crime and is both illegal and profoundly immoral. The actions of these individuals represent a direct assault on the safety, dignity, and civil rights of a member of our community. Such behavior is a stark reminder of the persistent and insidious nature of racism, and it has no place in a just and humane society. NRV Indivisible stands in unwavering solidarity with the victim of this attack. We are a community that believes in principles of equality, justice, and respect for all. We will not stand idly by while members of our community are subjected to such vile and hateful acts. We call upon law enforcement to conduct a thorough and swift investigation into this incident and to pursue all available charges under Virginia's hate crime statutes. The actions described fall squarely within the legal definition of a hate crime under Virginia Code 52-8.5, which includes criminal acts intended to instill fear or intimidation based on race. Furthermore, Virginia Code 8.01-42.1 provides for civil action for racial harassment based on 18.45. I'm losing track of the numbers. 18.2-57 allows for enhanced penalties for assault and battery motivated by racial animus. At the federal level, the Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Jr. Hate Crimes Prevention Act provide additional legal avenues to address this type of racially motivated intimidation and interference with housing rights. We urge our elected officials and community leaders to join us in condemning this act and reaffirming our collective commitment to combating racism in all its forms. We must send a clear, unequivocal message that hate has no home here. NRV Indivisible will continue to resist and protest all forms of racism and bigotry. We will work to ensure that our community is a safe and welcoming place for everyone, and we will not rest until justice is served. Well, I think we can all agree that racism really has no place in common society. Everyone should be operating under the basis of respecting one another, respecting each other's beliefs and understandings, and making sure that as a community, you remain safe and also respectful. And anyone who condones any type of racial discrimination or attack is just a piece of shit. I think that's something anybody with a reasonable mind can agree on. And if this were to be a scenario of an individual being racially intimidated into submission or pressure because of something going on, I think we can all agree that that is not okay and people should be punished for that. But there is a reason I said if.
You're fat! Yeah, I got enemies, got a lot of enemies.
On Tuesday, February 10th, the Christiansburg Police Department received a complaint with concern for a possible act of intimidation or hate crime. The call referenced multiple vehicles driving through a neighborhood, one of which stopped by a public roadway. At approximately 5 p.m., a truck stopped along Chesley Loop, where a passenger exited, jumped into the bed of a truck, and pushed frozen snow and ice into the street. The complaint also reported loud music coming from the vehicle that included profane lyrics and racial slurs. Christiansburg police immediately began investigating the situation. After several interviews, including a third-party eyewitness and a detailed investigation, detectives found that a group of juveniles were attending an organized function at a home in the area. Before the departure, 2 juveniles attempted to clear frozen snow and ice out of the bed of the truck, but were unable to completely remove due to the slope of the vehicle. Upon departure, the juveniles stopped at a flat spot on the street where a juvenile pushed out the remaining frozen snow and ice. There have been incorrect reports that this may have been a targeted incident toward a specific resident or a person based on racial bias. The Christiansburg Police Department does not tolerate discrimination, hate speech, or racial profiling within the town of Christiansburg. Our investigation has found no evidence of criminal intent or racial bias. While the Christiansburg Police Department does not typically comment on investigations involving juveniles due to the number of inaccurate accounts of the event, including details from public figures that conflict with reports from the original complaint, the Christiansburg Police Department felt the need to publicly address this. At no time did any juveniles yell obscenities or direct any attention to any homes in the area while clearing the snow and ice. A video of the incident will be released tomorrow after redaction of juvenile identity. In a statement to Fox News Digital, Agozino argued that whether the juveniles whom he called suspects had criminal intent may be irrelevant. They investigated and identified the suspects. They claimed that they had no bad intent, and the police concluded that there was no evidence of a hate crime. I reminded the police that intent is only one element of crime because reckless or unreasonable behavior that is threatening to anyone is considered a breach of the law, even if there is no intent to harm anyone. However, the second day, one of the trucks parked by my letterbox for about 20 minutes before driving to the address of the neighbor from whose house the young white men emerged the day before. I hope the statement by the police that there's no evidence of a hate crime will not unwittingly embolden the suspects. I would just like to say, for anyone who could understand the words that are about to come out of my mouth, that when you accuse a bunch of people of a racist hate crime, and then you have the evidence and you broadcast it, I guess, to local law enforcement or the news media, and it looks like a bunch of bullshit, which is children, teenagers more specifically, getting out of their car and removing ice from the back of it, that's not a hate crime. That's an annoying task that someone has to do in the moment of dealing with fucking snow. It's something a lot of people over the past few weeks have probably had to deal with, because a few weeks ago there was a snowstorm that probably fucked over a lot of people. It's annoying having to deal with snow, and it's annoying to remove it from your car. It's annoying to move it from your driveway. It's annoying moving it from the sidewalk. I'm not seeing anything racial here. Now, you're right. Now, if they remove the ice and they throw it to the side of the road and somebody walks on it and slips, I guess you may have a point there, but that really comes down to how much somebody's not looking at their perceived direction and where they're going, because if you go outside and you see ice and you walk on said ice and you slip and fall, that's not really anybody else's fault but your own, and you set yourself up to fall because of that ice because you decided to step on said ice. I don't necessarily understand why we're thinking about this as a hate crime. I'm not really understanding how we're thinking that this is a racial hate crime, only because I guess all of these dudes involved were white and the guy reporting it was black, but that's not a strong enough case for anything racial. That's just somebody being more mad that there are people doing shit near his house. A common occurrence for people who live on property, but annoyance does not equal racial hate crime. Call me crazy, but I feel like it would have been easier to just go outside and ask these dudes to turn the music down. I feel like that could have been a little bit better in terms of figuring out what's going on, who's doing what, and how they're doing it. But instead, we went the stupidest route and tried to paint a bunch of teenagers as racist who are targeting a black guy, all for seemingly no reason other than I guess he's black and walking about their merry way so that they could all fist bump to white supremacy. And in the end, people did their jobs. They investigated it. They asked the questions necessary. They pinpointed how these dudes were operating, and they figured out none of this is really what it was made out to be. And it all falls back on the one guy who sat there and recorded it and bloated out to everybody, hey, I'm the victim of a hate crime, because it is so ungodly for me as a black man in 2026 to see white people shoveling snow. They should be cracking whips or picking some cotton somewhere, I guess, so that they could pay back their reparations to society for the damage that they were never never even alive to fucking experience, see, or take part in. Because common society is often not so common when you're dealing with motherfuckers who think any inconvenience is a sign of them being targeted because of their skin color. And as I said at the beginning of this, I think we can all agree. Racism, bad. People being racist, bad. No matter the skin color, judging people based off their skin color, bad. And also, when you dedicate time to performing as if you are somehow the victim, oftentimes you make yourself out to be very fucking stupid and attention seeking. Because as I've said, if I haven't already, shoveling snow or removing snow from your fucking car, it's not racist. It's just fucking annoying. Subscribe to the channel. I shall see you all in the next one. Mwah! Goodbye.